Arguably one of the most underrated steak toppings also happens to be the name of a pretty incredible paint color. Today's color code is CSP-810, but I'm pretty sure you already knew that because if you clicked on this video, then you're looking for more information on Benjamin Moore's Chimichurri. We got the code, now let's get to cracking. Welcome back to Color Code, where today's color we're gonna dive into is described as a tangy blend of aromas captured at their most fragrant. Spices things up with a bold, fresh bite. That color description has Benjamin Moore written all over it. They're so poetic over there. Only they would have the gall and audacity to describe a color as a smell. But strangely, it works. So what we're gonna do today is get into what Chimichurri, the paint color, is all about. And that includes talking about some colors that go really well with it and some common uses for it. This is going to be a fun one because I actually have Chimichurri somewhere in my house right now. I also conveniently have it on this mighty board here. So for any one of you that are studious enough to test your paint colors out before you buy them in gallon form, mighty boards are my tester board of choice. So I'll definitely leave their information down in the description if you're curious about getting some yourself. But as you can see, Chimichurri is really a color that is just clearly green. And that's exactly what gravitated me towards this color. The fact that it really had this herbal natural warmth in its undertones where it was so deep and essentially free of feeling kind of blue leaning at all like some other greens. And that's exactly what I was going for. You know, I didn't want a teal or anything like that. I wanted just a nice, beautiful deep green. Its LRV, or its light reflectance value, is 7.73, and that just tells you the percentage of light that the color reflects. So it's a scale from 0 to 100, 0 being complete black and 100 being pure white. So the fact that this is right around 7 or 8% is not a lot, and that lets you know how dark the color is. But it's also not so dark that you might mistake it for black or off black. In fact, I have a black TV against Chimichurri, and there's definitely a clear contrast between the two. What's nice is it has that warmth, and that does a pretty good job at working against any clear, cool undertones that are found in a teal, for example, or even an emerald green. Where in a northern exposed room, you're not all of a sudden going to have a blue wall. It's still going to retain a lot of its green quality, which is important. Ironically, that would make it an awesome exterior color, but at the time of this video's recording at least, you can't actually have Chimichurri or any CSP color made into an exterior paint product. The CSP color line, which stands for Color Stories Palette, or the Aura Color Stories colors anyway, they're only currently available in the interior Aura paint line by Benjamin Moore. So if you really want to use this color outside, and I know some of you on Instagram were asking about this, you're really just gonna have to pay your local paint matcher a ton of money to even come close here, because it's really tricky. The way the CSP colors are formulated, there's so many different pigments that make up each color, so it's not really as straightforward of a process as you think. But being color code, now we should talk about some of the other colors in relation to the color code of the day. So what colors do I like to enjoy pairing with Chimichurri? What I wanted to do for this video, as you can see, we changed the setup a little bit. I'm at my desk now, so we also wanted to change the types of colors that I'm recommending. So for this one, the corresponding color options are going to be a light, a medium, and a dark color. This hopefully gives you a wider range of choices, whether you're looking for maybe a lighter neutral, and then a mid-tone that is perhaps a bit more saturated in color, and then finally a really dark color as well if you wanted maybe some darker trim, for example. The lighter neutral I would use alongside it is another CSP color called Plaster of Paris. And what I like about it is it's in my preferred range of LRV between that 70 to 80 mark, especially when I'm looking for a light, airy color, and this one is that, but it's also dark enough to really stand out against white trim, which I also have here as well. There's always an advantage of picking colors to go alongside something that is as dark as Chimichurri, because even your darker off-whites will still look quite bright in comparison. And that's what Plaster of Paris does in this case. For the mid-tone, there's a wonderfully fun color from the Benjamin Moore CSP color collection called Antique Glass, which is this beautiful turquoise color that has a similar coloration to copper patina, which I love. And although it shares the similarity of having some green, Like Chimichurri, it's a completely different color. I mean, if you just look at them side by side, you can clearly see that. I mean, there's basically like a 50 LRV difference separating them. So Chimichurri and Antique Glass will definitely stand out on their own. And also you'll get that cool freshness that's still in line with that therapeutic feeling of nature that Chimichurri introduces. As for the dark color I chose, I essentially stuck with the CSP color line again, mainly because of the fact that they are the newest colors available by Benjamin Moore. And I'm also assuming if you're looking at Chimichurri already, then you're probably okay with sticking within the same color collection and ultimately same product line. Espresso Bean is the darkest color available in the Aura Color Stories palette, and it suits Chimichurri so wonderfully because of the fact that it gives you the same sort of effect that a nearly black paint color would do, which is always in style, but it also tones in a little bit better with the green in Chimichurri. Again, that brown and green, nature-themed sort of harmony. It just seems like a more intentional fit. I already incorporate a lot of black and brown in my design, so Espresso Bean sort of does both at the same time. This could also be a choice for your dark trim and woodwork too when working with Chimichurri as a main paint color, although I'm actually a fan of either using Chimichurri on the trim as well, just kind of continue it on, or going with a much lighter color and an off-white, especially in those accent wall situations. So speaking of off-whites, what about a light trim color choice? Well, I've been mentioning the CSP colors a whole lot already, so why not continue that trend? My first choice would be Crisp Linen, which is really a bright, warm off-white. And it's actually interesting because it shares a lot of similarities to Simply White, which is what I chose for this room back in the day. But I would say it does feel a little bit warmer, which will end up being more of a statement rather than trying to find a clean, soft, light, warm white like Simply White. However, if you were looking for an even softer looking trim, so then you can dial up the depth a little bit and lower down that LRV just a tad, you can go with an off-white like Stoneware, which is a decent amount darker, although its undertones are a little more toned down, almost veering into light, warm gray territory. This is probably my choice if I wasn't going with Plaster of Paris on the walls, because there are a lot of similarities between that and Stoneware, and you really want a little more of a difference between the two. But if you were sticking in that CSP line, those are the two that I would look at first. So I wanted to give you kind of a lighter and a slightly less light option. Why don't I end off by showing you how I use Chimichurri in my space? As you can see here, we have a nice little accent wall, kind of fireplace thingy happening. Originally, it was just simple drywall painted a dark slate gray. And what we did was we just found this kind of synthesized wainscoting particle board. We just put it over top the whole thing and then painted it Chimichurri. And I really think it turned out quite well. And yes, I do have paint people playing all day, every day. I'm just kidding. For more information on Chimichurri, I did a rant of love on our Instagram page. So click that link in the description, click on the IGTV page and scroll down. You should find it. No problemo. I'm loving the greens, and I hope you are too. See you later.